Well, Alan, yeah, welcome to the Wag Pod. I kind of a jack of all trades. You got a lot of cool stuff going on, so we're gonna do kind of a two-parter episode. And when they'll release a week apart, but we'll be wearing the same exact stuff. So that's we can always change, but that's a little.
No,
Well,
I've got my the accused.
uh-uh.
I just got this t-shirt. It's like a
Cool.
hardcore band from the 80s.
Yeah, yeah, because you're into the metal. I know nothing about it, so it's maybe I'll learn something today. Well, anyways, so you started crappily drawing pets, but the story starts way, way long ago. I remember you said you were always kind of an animal lover, so do you want to kind of jump in there?
Yeah, I've always been really into animals. My unfortunately my mom is either very allergic or just doesn't like animals, so we never really had any.
Sure.
But my grandparents had several. And my aunt has had several, and I just always knew that I was going to be a pet owner one day. Um, yeah, as far as the drawings go, I had a long history as a cartoonist before I got into drawing pets.
Hmm.
I did a lot of work that was very sarcastic and edgy
Sure.
and
Some may say cynical.
cynical. I did a lot of pieces about how stupid everything is and
Yeah.
how meaning life is meaningless, and
Yeah.
the girls that I dated, and I did a series of portraits of my ex-girlfriends,
Oh no.
and uh and I did that for a long time, and then
Sure.
it was fun, but it was very difficult to monetize because the
Sure.
work was so personal and
Yeah.
so kind of negative.
Sure.
Um, and actually, after having a conversation with my dad, he was like, "Why don't you try drawing something more positive? Like try and have a positive impact on people." And I was
Yeah.
like, "What?
You're like,
Me?"
what are you talking about? That's not my style.
Um, but I did. I did. I took it to heart and started drawing pets, and it took off really, really quickly.
Yeah.
There's something about I call myself Alan Wieder bad drawer because I'm not a very skilled uh illustrator or artist. I get by.
Yeah.
I think like if you I could draw better than people who can't draw at all. I
Sure.
always say that I'm like a really talented fifth grader who,
Well, you could
who
do some
never
bookmarks. That might help. They're always
who
looking
never
for
got
those.
a fifth grader who never really got any better.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, so I started drawing pets, and there was something about the crudeness of my style,
Hmm.
and the kind of rough aspect of it that worked really well to make pets seem very cute.
Sure.
And I started doing it, and it's taken off. I started doing this in April, and now I
Hmm.
have literally hundreds of orders,
Wow.
um, and it's going really well. It's going
Yeah.
really well. And the economy is hard for a lot of people right now because my pieces
Sure.
are in the $100 range.
Hmm.
A lot of people just don't have that. So I
Right.
try to do like a slide and scale with some people. I'm like, well, how
Hmm.
much can you afford? So I'll do the occasional piece for 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And but there's something about my style that really just clicks for people. They just love seeing their pets drawn in my style.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it's been a really fun process.
That's great. And well, it's interesting too that I remember, we were talking earlier and you'd always had kind of an itch to, do some artwork or you
Mhm.
would kind of doodle when you were younger. But before that, you worked in producing. Is that right? Kind of reality TV, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my first real job was working in news,
Hmm.
and nonfiction content, if you can call news nonfiction.
Right.
But nowadays especially. But
Yeah.
so I I started working as a producer in news, and then I was working for Fox at the time, and
Mhm.
they moved me out to LA
Yeah.
for a project, and I really liked LA, and I liked reality TV was just dating myself, but it was really just starting to happen. It was
Yeah.
like the first season of Survivor, the first season of The Mole,
Wow.
and I got really into reality TV, and I started pitching shows, and I had a few shows like optioned by production companies.
Hmm.
And then the next thing I knew, I was starting to work as a producer. My first
Yeah.
job was working for Temptation Island. Just to give you a sense, I worked on Temptation Island 1 and 2. Now it's on, now they're on like season 16 or something.
That is wild. And they keep going. I mean, and in
Yeah.
reality, I mean, we were talking about this too. It's just interesting in the age of streaming and Netflix and HBO, you're seeing less and less, and I mean, I think this is why you eventually did a career switch, or at least part of it,
Yeah,
of there's less work there for reality TV. Or even if there
there
is,
is.
I feel like it goes on, you sell the show to one of those bigger companies.
Yeah, so the television business, I spent a long time in TV, working as a producer, and then I rose up to be a showrunner, and I made a documentary. I've done a lot of
Really?
nonfiction
Wait,
stuff.
what's a showrunner? I have no idea what that
A
is.
showrunner is an executive producer in reality TV.
Cool.
Now, a showrunner also exists in scripted too.
Hmm.
So in scripted, like if you take the showrunner of like Bosch or something, that's a person who writes as well as produces.
Hmm.
It's someone who's in charge of the overall creative. In in reality TV, the showrunner is just responsible for delivering on the vision. Not
Sure.
they're not necessarily writers, they're more like tacticians who can get great stuff.
Right.
Uh, and because there's no real writing in reality TV, there is some shows are like beat it out a little bit, like the Real
Right.
Housewives or whatever. They're or Selling Sunset or some of these shows.
Yeah.
They're beat it out, but the showrunners aren't really writers. They're more just
Sure.
storytellers.
Just like the WWE, right? There is completely real. There's no script involved in that at all.
Well, it is, it's yeah, reality TV. It depends. Like I worked on reality shows that were definitely very fake.
Hmm.
And I didn't necessarily enjoy those, but I also worked on reality TV shows that had tremendous reality and great, just a lot of heft and real stuff happening and people being hurt and people wanting to quit the show. And
Wow.
that's when your formula is really working.
Sure.
But like if you look at the show Traders, it's very well designed,
Hmm.
and very well produced. I'm not a huge fan of that show, but it's very well done. And so. Yeah, so I did reality TV for a long time, but the reality TV business really has gone through a lot of attrition. In the entertainment business, I don't know if you're following what's going on, but
Some didn't I know Netflix just purchased Warner Bros. Is that correct?
yeah, but they're trying to, I think. I don't know if
Yeah.
they purchased it
There's
yet.
billions of dollars, amounts that I can't even fathom.
Yeah, and Skydance bought Paramount and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of consolidation in the industry and there's also fewer and fewer outlets. The biggest thing that's really affected reality TV is the demise of cable television.
Yeah.
All these people cutting the cord. As a reality TV producer, provider, I I really relied on cable to get by. So it was
Sure.
that show you did for History Channel, that show you did for Lifetime, that show you did for USA Network. There were a lot of buyers for reality TV who
Right.
needed, and they in cable programming they need the cable executives want cheap programming. So
Yep.
reality TV is not necessarily cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than scripted to make.
Sure.
So the cable TV business has just eroded.
Yeah.
The major networks are suffering. They're not really getting the ratings they used to. Like if the Bachelor ratings are down in the dumps, they're still making it because they don't have an alternative.
Sure.
But so as the television business started to retract, I started thinking more and more about what do I do? I had this side hustle as an artist, doing these cynical drawings and selling a lot of merch. I actually
Yeah.
sold a lot of t-shirts
Yeah.
and
Tell
stuff.
tell me a little bit about those t-shirts that you made.
Yeah, I have a battery of shirts that were made from popular designs.
Hmm.
My most successful one is this shirt. You could probably show it, I guess, if you're going to edit this. But my most successful shirt is this that says butts on it, and it says butts, and it has
Yeah.
cigarette butts and human butts.
That's awesome.
And that
Good
thing just
shirt.
I've sold a lot of those, a
Really?
lot.
Yeah.
I have a few other designs that have done well.
Where did you
So
sell? Was it just like on, I don't
I
know.
was I was selling them independently for a long time.
Mhm.
Just I had a screen printer who would make them, and I would do like a batch of 50, sell them all, and do another batch in like
Mhm.
6 months.
Yeah,
But
it's
now
it.
I work with this company called T Public now.
Mhm.
They're it's real it's you don't make as much money. You get it, the margin's not as good as doing it on your own, but you don't have to worry about shipping or any kind of fulfillment. So
Right, and that's kind of worth
and
the
they
hassle.
have and it's a cool T Public has good stuff. I like being associated with them because most of their shirts are really good quality and they have a lot of amazing designs. So
Yeah,
I feel like I'm happy being selling my merch on that platform.
definitely.
I
And
don't sell any merch for my pet stuff just because it's all custom. Like
right.
I'm doing like specific animals that are, you know. So I might do some pets merch down the road, but right now I'm
Yeah.
just trying. Yeah.
Yeah, do the custom kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's interesting. The screen printing stuff is very interesting as well. When we did our like Wagwork shirts and hats, we partnered with Cotton Street Apparel. They do awesome work. It was local in Winston, and it is interesting because you buy a certain amount that makes sense, and then you got to sell those too. So yeah, I mean I think making that switch. It's just I think also people really quick or care about the quality of their shirts and their merch.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if someone like T Public that they're
They
going to do good stuff.
they do a really nice job. The shirts are all made on really nice cotton and it's I do a lot of in my business if I'm late with a drawing or like
Mhm.
I'm a little late, I'll offer someone a free shirt and they can
Yeah,
go on TeePublic and use my code
yeah,
so yeah, so it's a nice thing to have the t-shirts. It's not something that really keeps me going, but
sure.
it's a nice little side hustle.
Yeah, so going from I think in what you started doing the drawings and t-shirts around 2015, is that right?
Yeah.
So going from that, go fast forward to that conversation with your dad. Was that kind of
Yeah.
that must have been an interesting moment because it was me if my dad's telling me something. I mean, he's probably right about it, but I'm like, "Psh, Dad, what are you talking about? What is?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, this is a good question. So I started in 2015 making the cynical and self-deprecating
Mhm.
comics,
Yep.
and I got a following fairly quickly. So people were into them, and I started selling merch, but I never really made enough to survive. I was just it was just like a few $100 a month in
Yep.
royalties every month. And I was still working in TV, but the TV industry got so bad that it was really difficult to find work.
Sure.
And just my normal people who I call and they're like, "Yeah, I got a show. Come on. Start tomorrow."
Yeah.
I was very well known as a reality producer in town in LA, and so I had a lot of opportunities, and they all kind of went away.
That's
And so I
interesting.
was left with
Around that time or more
it
recently?
was 2024 that got things got really bad. Now
Sure.
I happened to be making a documentary in that year, so I was employed, but normally when I'm on a show, my phone rings every other day with, "Hey, are you free?" And for years it was like that. And
Yeah.
then it stopped. And I had a lot of friends who the more and more I was talking to people, everybody was suffering. I have a really good friend, I won't name him, but I have a really good friend who was a very prestigious producer who closed his production company and went to get a degree in clinical psychology.
Wow.
There were
It was
nobody
the
was
time of
buying.
it. And I
Nobody,
guess like take for example, I don't know, Love on the Spectrum, that would be considered reality TV. I don't know if
yeah,
you ever saw that.
yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've watched it all.
Yeah.
A couple episodes in the third season. Anyways, point being is, for the kind of work that you were doing, it was more finding like cable networks who would take it. Who were people able to make that pivot to producing reality TV specifically for Netflix, knowing that, or is that a hard kind of pivot to make?
You mean to try to get in the Netflix community?
Yeah, well, I guess like from my understanding, you were doing producing and it was mostly on
Yeah.
cable TV. But was there a switch to people like do you have to be part of that Netflix community to be able to make those? Like, how does that kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix has like a handful of production companies that they work very closely with.
Hmm.
And have I ever worked? I did some development on some shows meaning just I did a few weeks of kind of creative brainstorming with
Sure.
on a few shows that became Netflix shows, but I've never actually produced a Netflix show. I wanted to,
Yeah.
and not everybody over there knows me, but there's a few senior executives who know me, and
Sure.
I've also pitched them a few things over the years.
Yeah.
But I was never able to get into that world. It seems like Netflix is making tons of reality, but they're really not. I mean,
Yeah.
they make like Love is Blind. They make a handful of returning shows.
Hmm.
There's very little chance of getting staffed on a returning show because everybody just goes back and does it,
Exactly.
especially in this economy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I wasn't able I felt like my career as a TV producer was really languishing.
Yeah.
And my parents knew that I was stressed out. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, you know? And I applied for some jobs in marketing. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't want to work in marketing. You know, I mean, I like marketing if it's my stuff.
Right. Yes, that's kind of how I feel about wag stuff, right? Like I don't know, the idea of kind of having your own thing, it's something to be, have some pride in. And people have told me like, you should do sales, you should. And I was like, I like to sell my own products if
That's
I have
exactly
any,
it. It's
you
like
know?
I'm constantly thinking about ways to market crappily drawn pets. I
Hmm.
mean, um, but my parents were concerned, and I mean, I wasn't like broke, but I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and
Yeah.
I'm not super young, but I've got to think about the next 15 years.
Sure.
I'm not independently wealthy,
Yeah.
so I my dad was like, he gave me this idea. He's like, well, why don't you think about something positive? And then I started drawing the pets, and now I am, I have like a 6 week waiting list, and I'm just
Wow.
doing really well with it. And
It's amazing.
the only thing that's a barrier a little bit is I'm selling a lot of work, but when I try to price it at what I think it's worth,
Hmm.
um, people balk a little bit because they just don't
Sure.
have over 150 to spend, but they might have 70.
Right.
So, it's a balance. Like I have to kind of like look at the economics of every month and go, okay, I can do 5 projects at a lower price, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You know, and so and I do volunteer I do actually do some work for shelters. Like I've done some drawings for shelters, and
Cool.
I do that for free.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
I've noticed that, there's another, I did a episode with Joanne Wetzel with Five Freedoms Photography, and she's in Raleigh, and she used to volunteer at the shelters, and then she started taking pictures. And having pictures or drawings, like in your case, is a fantastic way to volunteer because you're not just going and walking the dog, you're bringing something that you can offer. And having those pictures and drawings, I would assume as well, that definitely would increase the probability of the pet getting adopted, which is fantastic.
yeah, I've done a little bit of that. I'm doing the American Cancer Society gala this summer. They're going to
Hmm.
auction off a few pieces,
Sure.
and it will raise money for obviously for cancer. So I do volunteer work here and there when I can. I'd
Sure.
like to do more of it, but but the bottom line is that this business is starting to really take off.
Yeah. And it's something you're able to do full time, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I initially like I dumped about 20 grand into advertising.
Hmm.
But
What different routes was it like with Meta or Instagram?
I used Instagram and Facebook, yeah,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna start advertising on Google Ads. I
Cool.
just haven't done it yet, but I don't really know how exactly it works.
Right.
But the Facebook advertising, I'll recommend, if there's any of people out there who have a small business making something,
Yeah.
whether it's like a special soap or, or art or, whatever it might be,
Sure.
t-shirts, whatever it might be, Facebook ads really work. If there's anybody out there who's kind of questioning like whether it's worth the spend,
Yeah.
it really is. It really
I
is. When I run an ad, I get 100 queries. Now, not all of them are sales,
Sure, sure, but still,
but
you have people reaching out about it. Yeah,
yeah,
I have a buddy of mine, another guest from the podcast, was kind of talking about how the meta advertising and getting into that whole thing has been really effective, and so it's different
it
for like
is.
me specifically. I feel like dog walking, pet care, overnights, it's a lot word of mouth. And so I haven't, I feel like you have to be able to put a decent amount of funds in for the ads to be effective.
You
And
do.
I've done like I've done, early on I was like $20, yeah, let's do it. And that's not really gonna, do anything. And so it is interesting, but I have heard good things about those being highly effective.
You need money to spend. I mean, I think I spend on a given day. I'm not running ads all the time, but when I run them, I'll spend like 120 a day.
Yeah,
And I get a lot of leads, a lot of people. I mean, it helps that my ad is something I really worked hard on.
sure.
I tried a few different ads, and it says uh do you want me to, it has a bunch of doodles of animals on it, and it
Hmm.
says, do you want me to poorly draw your animal? And
Yeah,
there's something about people like, they're like, poorly draw my animal. That's funny. I'm
yeah,
certainly not, I did not invent drawing pets poorly. There's
sure,
many others. There's, I think there's even an Instagram account called Poorly Drawn. But but nobody's doing exactly what I'm doing, which is
sure,
I'll have a lot of storytelling.
right,
It's not just a crappy drawing. It's a whole kind of
exactly.
narrative sequence of silly jokes, and I'm bringing their pet to life.
Yeah. So in the next episode, we'll get into more of kind of the nitty-gritty of crappily drawn pets. But do you want to take me through kind of what it looks like conversing with a customer, or like how exactly, like what are the things that you need so you're able to, produce this piece of art?
Well, what's funny is there's, even though it says clearly on my ad that it says like reasonable rates, a lot of people think it's free. They think like, oh, I'll let you crappily draw my animal.
Oh, and then post it on it. I've seen accounts like that when they're like, "Let me draw this for you," versus like you're offering an actual. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah, so I have to wade through a bit of that. We're like, is this free?
that.
No, it's not
No.
free. Uh, but um, but yeah, like I enjoy the customer interfacing.
Hmm.
I just have to be very mindful of my time because as I've gotten busier, there's a
Hmm.
lot of people who just like jerk you around on
Yeah,
over
and you don't know if they're gonna like be able to actually pay for it
they'll
or
send
yeah.
a picture of their poodle and I'll be like, okay, that's nice. Do you want a drawing? Because you know.
Let's get down to
So I have to
it.
kind of be like, like there was this customer today, and she just was like, she was funny and goofy and sending me pictures of her animal, and she didn't know what she wanted. So I finally had to say to her, I was like, listen, I don't have time to go back and forth like this for, you seem great, you seem nice, but like contacting me when you're ready to make an order. She was
Yeah,
like, okay. So I have to be sort of disciplined about how I spend my time with people but
sure.
I handle all of my own customer queries.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that as the business continues to grow, I'll be able to hire um an assistant to handle all the communication with people.
yeah.
Um
Well, it's interesting
some
having to do that too, because again, like your dad was saying, like something positive. Pets are it's a very positive space, and it's happy and it's cute, and some of those clients, they might, like you said, jerk you around a little bit, but oftentimes, like some of them just really love their dog and they want to talk about it and they want to share. So
that's exactly, it's
it's
very
a
true.
fine line
I
and
mean, listen,
balancing.
the word I would use is a Yiddish word. The word is kibitz, which means like make small talk.
Yeah,
But like I'll make small talk with my customers for to a certain extent. And then I'm kind of just like, all right, are they buying something?
yeah,
And there's a lot of people who want to waste your time.
sure,
And that's the toughest aspect of like handling client communication is just the people who want to they're just trying to get something for free or they just want someone to talk to.
right,
And I have some absolutely batshit crazy people who send me random shit like
yeah.
memes and I have this one woman, she says she's an artist and she sends me she does a draw. I don't think I think she's on either very old and on social
Yeah.
security or something. But she sends me like her every 2 days she'll send me some drawing she did and it's so bad.
Oh
And
no.
like that's from a guy who's not very talented.
Right.
Um so I'll have people who they really just want to talk and share pictures of their animal
Sure.
and there's a certain because I have a following, there's a certain mystique. They feel like they're talking to somebody really famous.
Right.
I'm certainly not famous in any way, but they treat me like that. They're like,
Sure.
"Oh,
Yeah, with the check mark and stuff, there definitely is some sort of like when when I'm finding podcast guests, it's gotten easier as time has gone on, because I'll batch them or I'll do certain amount of meetings kind of as I'd mentioned before, but like early on it's just kind of cold, and I'll see an ad pop up or I'll see that and my focus to me is like, oh wow, this could be cool to like, and there's also some really interesting people with not that many follow, I'd like to think I'm relatively interesting, I hope, and
yeah."
I don't have that many followers, and so it's more about, you know I think just finding the right people and then they'll find you, and then you can realize and you're like, all right, let me make this drawing for you. Let's get on with it.
I mean, I now know you start to learn. the saleability of your own product,
Hmm.
and I know now within 20 seconds whether someone wants to buy something,
Yeah,
because it's just the way they communicate.
sure,
Like I'd like to, if they say I'd like to commission a piece, that shows like, okay, they've already kind of made the leap of faith that they're going to want to commission something I do, even though
sure.
they don't know what that is just yet.
Right.
And those are great. Those people who quickly pay me and are patient because they have a little bit of a waiting list. That's great, but there's a lot of just randos who I don't know what they want. You know, they can't, I'm not like
Right.
that. I'm not that friendly that you're gonna get my friendship.
Sure. Well, what's funny too is how, you shared earlier, like drawing these pets every day has almost changed your aura, for a lack of a better word. You've become a more positive person yourself. And, it's funny to look back, like when you first started doing this, I bet the first thing that came to your mind was not, I'm pretty much going to be doing HR for my own company. Like, I'm pretty much going to be doing communicating. And then leap to now, that's a huge part of what you do.
Yeah, it's the any artist who sells their stuff online, or certainly over Instagram where people have access to you. Um, it's a it's a grind, especially in this economy. Like fewer and fewer people have the disposable income to buy a pet drawing. It's so
Sure.
frivolous.
Yeah.
But so I've never been a sales guy. I've had a few telemarketing jobs in my
Hmm.
in my day. But what I do is sales. I have to convince them this is worth $120.
Sure.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, you'd think like, well, they're not spending that much. It's not like they're buying a car and it's a lemon. But
Exactly.
sometimes if the experience isn't good for them, which is mostly with that my drawings take too long,
Right.
they get mad at me.
Hmm.
And I had a woman who I drew her dog, and this is kind of funny. I did something, like sometimes you do something nice for someone and then they're ungrateful.
Yep. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's almost like the people you do nice things for are more often not ungrateful.
Right.
And so this woman, she wanted a drawing for her husband, of their dog, and she she made her purchase fairly quickly, but it took me a little while to get to it. She ordered it before Christmas, and I had a big Christmas rush,
Sure.
and I made very clear to her that she wasn't going to get it until January, and it didn't show up. And instead of contacting me and being like, "Can we find it? What's going on?" She just withdrew her payment on Venmo.
Really? I didn't even know you
Yeah.
could do that.
And I had sent her the tracking.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, here it is. Here." I sent them a photo of the tracking.
Yeah.
You could go on the tracking and see herself that it was delayed, but she penalized me, and I did a lot of work on her drawing, so I ended
Sure.
up getting, you know,
That's
F.
frustrating. And you can't, especially with, I mean, I guess in California it's different, but like wintry weather here, everything's been slowed down. And like, you just have to assume. Sometimes you just have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You would hope that people have the, yeah,
It's listen, it's artwork. It's not, I'm not selling, exercise equipment or something where it should be in the mail in 2 days,
sure.
or I'm not selling something that's pre-made. I have to actually do it, and then
Right.
I can before I can send it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she ended up screwing me over, and I'm sure she got the drawing for free. Like, good for her. Like, that's what, I mean, if that's fortunately that doesn't happen that often, but people do get
Yeah.
really annoyed when it starts to take too long. And I'm like, it's artwork. I
Sure.
have to tell people, like, I actually looked on ChatGPT recently and I was like, how long does custom artwork typically take? And it was like 2 months to 2 years.
Right.
Because sometimes if it's like, certainly if it's like a painting or something really, my stuff is easier to do than some oil painting. But I have a lot of customers, and so I tell people they have to wait, and they don't like it, and they get snide and but that's just the way it is. I try to be positive and maintain a good attitude even when people are treating me like shit.
So
Um,
how do you do that then? How do you reframe it as, because the saying is the customer is always right. And in a lot of cases that might not be the case. So, how do you reframe that? And as you continue to grow your business and get more clients and stuff, how do you go about kind of reframing your mind and making sure that these interactions, because again, people can be rude or people can say things or do things that are unkind. But then, sometimes when you reply in an unkind way, you end up feeling worse about it. You know what I'm saying? So how do
yeah,
you kind of reframe that?
I've gone back and forth about this, and I've even talked to my son is actually he's a business major at Tulane, and he's
Yeah.
very savvy kid, and he's actually sold a lot of buys and resells clothing.
Hmm.
Well, he's used to doing this kind of thing, like dealing with people online and selling stuff and shipping it out promptly if he makes a sale and all that. So he said that, that yeah, I've been talking to my son about it, and he's just like you I wanted to know from him, should I tell people ahead of time that it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks? Because if I do that, they may not want to buy it.
Sure.
But when they buy it, if they have a happy knowledge that, oh, it's going to be a couple of weeks, but if you say 4 to 6 weeks, which is what it often takes, is that going to turn them off?
Sure.
Are they
Sure. But
not going to want to wait that long?
well, it's also the same thing as like having, because like there's something to be said about not having your exact prices on there, right? So they are for, they need to talk to you and figure out what the price is for this or what the price is for that. And the same, but then there's also the sense of like, hey, if it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, like you do want to be forward about that. So I don't know, it's tricky because you want to make
If,
sure
if,
you're
if people ask me my turnaround, I always tell them 4 to 6 weeks,
right.
but I don't necessarily volunteer it because I don't know if they care, or if it's gonna like set something off in them, like, oh, that takes too long.
Yeah. I mean, I,
I
I
do.
would typically ask.
I offer a rush. Like I always say, like I can rush it if you need for a birthday or something, but
Sure.
they gotta pay for that.
Yeah. No,
There's a,
exactly. I mean, that's
yeah.
how I feel like as a client somewhere buying something, I would always like look at the tracking or I would ask, I'd be like, how long is this going to take? Or I'd look and see an update just so I know. Like I ordered the meta ads got me and there's this, it's like this, I think it's called Sushi Wez, but like you make your own sushi. So I got that for my dad's birthday. I was like, this is awesome. But then it didn't come in time. And I'm just like, sorry, dad, you'll have it when it comes in.
I know. Yeah.
And then I'm not like, it's not that big of a deal. Like for me, being older, but some people can get upset about that kind of stuff. So it's again back to that client interaction kind of thing.
And sometimes the clients are fucking clueless. Like, I mean, like not often.
Sure.
95% of my client interactions are wonderful.
Yeah.
And even if the drawing comes a little late, right now I'm batting not 1,000 because there was one guy who didn't like what I did, but I out of the hundreds of drawings that I've done for people, I have 100%. I'm batting at almost 1,000
Right.
in terms of them liking it and thinking it's great. And then I'm batting 400 as far as people being like elated and being like, this is the most incredible thing. I love
Yeah.
this. So I have a very, very high level of customer satisfaction. So, but there's going to be exceptions to the rule. I had this one customer, she she didn't know what she ordered. And I'll tell you briefly what it was because it's interesting from a customer service point of view. She wanted 3 drawings
Hmm.
of her dogs, the
Yeah.
same 2 dogs, but it's 3 different iterations of these 2 dogs.
Sure.
And what we agreed on was she was going to keep one, and then I would do it as a trilogy, and that part 2 would live at her daughter's house, and part 3 would live at her son's house.
Yeah.
And so between the 3 of them, they would have this funny trilogy. It was crystal clear, and she wrote me back. She got to the drawing. She's like, Alan, I paid for 3 sets of drawings. There's only one set of drawings here. I'm like, you didn't. 3 sets of drawings would have been like $2,000.
Yeah.
You didn't, that's not what you ordered. And I
Right.
you always have to go back and do the screenshot. I went back, did the screenshot and showed it to her, and she was like, "Oh, but it's still late though." She was like, "I'm like, yeah, I know it's late. I told you that it was going to be late."
Yeah.
So there's just people who are just really they're aggravated in their own lives,
Sure.
and they don't really know what to do with their frustration, so they take it out on some weirdo artist in LA. You know, I mean, like, really? I'm a source of stress for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
And the drawings were fantastic. They
right.
were awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are going to be people like, and it's just learning. And again, like reiterating that running your own business is going to go with a lot of growing pains, right? Like we might not have
Absolutely.
clients who pay on time, or they might, and you're kind of like, well, why did this happen? Why, and it's nice. I'm able to kind of talk to one of my mentors about those kinds of questions and that kind of stuff, or utilize ChatGPT, like, okay, how long should I wait before, like, what, that kind of thing,
Yeah,
and how to deal with that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like you want to have returning clients, and I'm sure it's the same for you,
I
right? You want
do. I have a
referrals,
lot of
return.
I have a lot of returning clients.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I want to reiterate that most of the people who buy art from me are awesome.
yeah,
I love them. We have a tremendously good rapport. I love their animals. I fall in love with every animal I draw. It's just the nature of customer service. You're gonna just have people who just don't they're walking around with their own aggravation and they just want looking for someone to take it out on because it
yep.
certainly shouldn't be me.
And it's
Uh,
hard because you're the creator as well. It's like, something goes down. I call customer service. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, it's not okay. Let's say my food didn't get delivered properly, right? And
right.
Uber Eats, and I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? This is, and you don't want to get
Sure.
mad at the door or the Uber driver. You don't want to get mad at them, but then, it's kind of having a blanket to prevent people from actually doing something. The fact that you're doing the creating and the communication can, makes that tricky. So I think
I have a
assistant
friend.
will solve that.
I have a friend who like she makes jewelry and she sells her jewelry on her Instagram and she's incredibly talented and good at it
Yeah.
and she does well with it. But she was like, "Do you communicate with all of your customers?" She's like, "How do you do that? Why do you do that?" Like, well, it's a new business. I can't farm this out just yet. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't I'm definitely going to bring on an assistant and use that person to kind of manage my email and stuff.
sure.
But right now I don't have anyone I trust enough. It's too
Yeah.
new. It's too new. I don't even really have a sense of my own workflow. I created I'm creating a big board in my studio with like
Mhm.
because I have so many orders I can't keep track of them.
Yeah,
And so it's a good problem to have. I'm like, listen, I'm not complaining.
absolutely.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, I actually talked to all of them. She's like, you do? Ugh.
Well, I
It's
think you
another.
also, as you scale or get bigger and the company continues to grow, I think it's important to, do your best to keep that same level of conversation, whether that's having an assistant or if it's not something that ends up being important, totally fine. But I think people enjoy that human side of, I'm not just talking to a robot right now, or, I get to show off
Oh
my art,
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
thing.
A lot of that is, and I think a lot of the appeal of my work is that it's clearly not AI. I mean, if you look at my work, you'll see that it's very like I don't even think if you fed, I don't know if this is true. You probably could feed a few of my drawings into an AI app and say like, here, now draw this dog in that style. But
Sure.
I don't think so.
No,
I spend enough time on Midjourney and ChatGPT, and I sometimes I'll be like, oh, make me a drawing of a cat eating popcorn, and it'll
can
do
see.
that.
Yeah.
But it's the way it looks is so fake,
Oh, yeah.
But I'll use that as a reference, and I'll use it to draw something.
Sure.
I'll
It's good to
sometimes
have
go on.
reference. I mean, it's good to utilize AI as a form of creativity as well, and I think,
Yeah, yeah, but I don't feel like AI can do what I do. It's too weird. And so a lot of people are find that very refreshing. They're like,
Yeah.
uh, you actually draw this, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't believe I actually draw on paper.
Right.
I mean, I have a lot of artist friends on
They all do
Instagram.
graphic kind of thing.
No, they all draw on paper.
Hmm.
And like, Todd Francis and, there's so many. Really Good Artist is another account that I love, and he actually just draws everything in pen and ink on paper,
Yeah.
and then he either scans it or photographs it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who can't believe it. They're like, "This isn't digital." I'm like, "Really? Does it look digital to you?"
All right. And I hate to jump in. We're
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
over with the first episode. So Alan Wieder, bad drawer. Thank you for coming on, and we are gonna take a little break and then come back to focus on more of crappily drawn pets. So thank you.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right.